the first official video of the channel, I thought it was pertinent to watch John Textor's exclusive interview with the club. It's on their YouTube channel. Link to it is down below if you want to watch it in full. But I figured it would be nice because John Textor obviously speaks English. There'll be subtitles in Portuguese, and I can also translate if something doesn't get translated here, but I'm sure they took care of that. At least I hope so. So let's get this underway. Let's watch this together, and let's see what John Textor thought about his recent trip to Brazil and to meet Botafogo. I am super excited to see what John Textor has to say. Centrum is an official partner of Botafogo. If you're wondering what the song is, this is like a rockified version of a club's anthem. You can always YouTube it. Who is John Textor? That's what it says here on the screen. So let's find out who is John Textor. So fans, they went to the airport to welcome John to Brazil because that's just what we do. We've done that with several players. We've done that with Honda. We've done that with Salomon Kalou. We've done that with Clarence Seedorf. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, John Textor. There's our CEO, Jorge Braga. There's Lenin Franco. He's a director of marketing, if I'm not mistaken. There's John. I wonder if that's his wife. Flag. There we go. I like how Jorge Braga was like, no, you need to come meet these fans.
He's a believer in Botafogo, as I've told many people so far. I don't know. You know, I'm a technology guy. I'm a bad former athlete like everybody else in the world. I'm inspired by my family. I'm inspired by my work.
Nice. Yeah, I like that.
I'm inspired by the great
I like
changes that our world goes through constantly, and
That's true.
how those of us here can not just deal with that, but make things better. I've worked a long time. I feel like I've had many jobs. I'm only 56, but at times, career-wise, I feel much older. Now I'm getting to a point in my life where I have different goals in terms of what I do with my work.
Nice.
I have had great challenges in trying to bring the goals of community together with the goals of, in our country, capitalism, or in business elsewhere. And those are the projects that inspire me the most.
Nice, because that's exactly what Botafogo is looking for, right? They want somebody that knows business. They want somebody that basically to take the club, which is now a business that has failed, a business that has gone bankrupt. Botafogo is going through such a bad financial time that people that are in the club one way or the other, even if they're not like officials, they help the club financially. Like an ex-president bought balls so they can train. I mean, we're talking about a club that's over 100 years old, a club that is responsible for 3 out of the 5 world titles that Brazil has. And you don't have balls to practice. What happened? You know what I mean? I know what happened, which is a story I'm going to bring to you later in another video, but this is the situation that John Textor found the club in. No money, barely any sort of materials to practice with. They have materials now, but at times they didn't. And 3 relegations in 20-something years. That is something that's going to stay in the club's history forever, right? There's no going back from the relegations. But the important thing is that the club came back with its own strength. The club came back every time doing exactly what they needed to do, was just play football, just on the pitch. And hopefully with John Textor coming in, it's going to be the end, and I can't stress this enough, it is going to be the end of amateurs. Complete amateurs trying to do something with this club, due to their own ego or due to the fact that they want to be the savior of the club, and they just end up making it worse. So, yeah, I hope you are bringing change, sir, John Textor.
I think that football is something that it was always with me. I played my whole life. I watched my kids play.
That's important. Like, he knows the
Then
sport,
I
you know.
had a failure with work back in 2000.
Okay. He's being
2012.
transparent.
My world came crashing down. Very difficult to deal with. But the relationships that I built in my youth football academy, helping kids get to sort of the next place that they were going in life.
That's really cool.
That was the one thing I could really rely on when I was going through my own sort of personal struggle.
Guys, the reason why I'm pausing so much is so I don't get copyright striked. But let me just say this. What he said over here is absolutely true. In the world of business, it's all about relationships. It's all about networking. I have a master's degree in business administration. Networking is key. Of course, you need to know how to do your job right. But the fact that he built those relationships prior, once he found himself in a dire situation, he had people to fall back on. That's so important. And that tells me that he knows exactly what this club is going through, and he knows exactly what to do.
Maybe in certain parts of business of the world, you know, I learned that lesson. You know, you have a very small number of friends in life that you can count
Very
on.
true.
But in football, soccer up in the United States, the kids I was helping, the families that appreciated that help, they never
Definitely.
left me. I think my relationship with football became closer during that period.
I'm a
of time.
soccer coach, by the way, football
I think
coach.
it's
I coach my
defined,
kids too.
You know, who I am today when success came back to me and all of the false friendships were off.
Yep.
To me
Hey,
again.
buddy, you're doing well.
I felt liberated.
Again.
I didn't need to engage in those false relationships. I had these families and these friends I developed. in
That is so
football.
true, man.
So my success came back. It came back maybe bigger than any of my prior failures.
That's what it is.
And so what do I do with that? I stayed close to the families and the people and the fun and the ideas that had saved me. You know, the people in football really.
Again, we're
saved
taking his words for face value, you know? He could just be lying his butt off right here. I don't think he is, but I'm just saying we're believing everything he said because he's giving us, the fans, a lot of hope.
saved me at a difficult time. So that's why I'm doing this now. I think I'd like to give one more answer to that. I think football, the connection between club and community is special. It's not found in any
The
other
club
sport
is
that
nothing
I'm
without the
in.
supporters. Nothing.
Nothing against some of the great sports in this world, but I just feel like I've played everything. I think I've experienced everything except maybe cricket. And football, more than any
Maybe
other
some
sport,
Crystal Palace
brings
fans
people
have played
together,
cricket.
brings communities together, even when we love to fight each other.
Yeah,
We love to hate our rivals.
of course.
I think we all know that this sport brings us together. It brings countries together. I think that's what has driven.
So this here says, what is your vision of Brazilian football and the culture and the Brazilian culture as a whole?
You know, I said a moment ago that, you know, when things evolve, you know, in culture, in, you know, industry, you know, across civilization, you know, opportunity comes through change. And I've learned a lot about how different models of football work in the world.
That's right, because he owns a lot of clubs all over the place. He owns clubs in a club in Belgium. If I'm not mistaken, he's got ties in Real Salt Lake, which is a newer team in the MLS. He's got Crystal Palace, and now he's got Botafogo. I know he's got at least one or two more, I believe, that he's like, you know, connected with. But let me just say this: John Textor purchased 90% of the club's actions. 90%. This is not a school project. This is not something that he's doing for fun. This is as real as it gets, guys. He owns 18% of Crystal Palace, and look at Crystal Palace's squad for this season after he came on with financial help. It changed their squad. And you're a Crystal Palace fan, you know that's true. And you can tell me in the comments. But what he's about to do for this club, if he really follows through with what he's saying over here, this is going to change everything. I mean, and I know I sound like one of those people that exaggerate on their thumbnails. This will change everything. No, but for real, it will change everything. It's already changed a lot.
Very investment-driven, ownership-driven in the United Kingdom. Powerful league, the Premier League, very well developed.
Most powerful
Then you
league.
go to Portugal, and you see a similar
Benfica
structure
is another
in
one.
Portugal that they approved many years ago, where the associations, the people's clubs, created these SADs. And I think, though Portugal might have spent much more time kind of with that structure, I think the leading organizations there remain very, very political.
That's bad.
So
That's really bad.
Brazil making these same decisions now,
But
you know, bad business decisions happen in the United States when politicians spend money to get votes. The same has happened.
that's how elections are won.
The world of football in Portugal and Spain. The mentality in Portugal that I've seen in clubs has been very much about what do we need to do to win the next election? Because the election gives the individuals.
And that is honestly what happens in Brazilian football. What do we need to do during our 2 to 4 years or whatever to make sure that we get another term, to make sure that our party gets the next piece of the pie? And it's just so frustrating because it just ends up becoming more about themselves than it is about the club. And that's completely freaking backwards. It's completely backwards. And it's so frustrating.
In certain parts of the world, I'm not saying this about Brazil, but it gives people their fulfillment. Maybe it gives them power. And so it becomes about the election.
Always.
So they build up debt. They make irresponsible business decisions. We all know how to win an election in the United States. You spend enough money on your constituents so they vote for you. We all know how to win an election in Spain or in Portugal in football. Spend more money on players no matter what.
That's why Barcelona's in the
next
pickle that it's
election,
in.
right? So I see change as an opportunity. I think what's happening in Brazil, to be able to be involved at the very beginning of this decision, with all of the lessons that we've learned
Yes,
not only in this country,
yes,
but
yes,
around the
yes,
world,
yes.
to maybe do it better
Yes.
this time. And what I think is really remarkable about Brazil, like, of course, I've been here getting to know the market. I've been
Jesus
looking at
Christ,
clubs
this guy
for some
gets it,
time.
man.
Got 2 terrific young men that started teaching me about these decisions, these very, very wise decisions, in my opinion, that the government has been making to pass these laws, to clean up the debt in the past, and position these SAFs to be successful. And so to know that the talent in Brazil, best in the world, I think along with France, along with Africa, I think that there are a few places in the world where the talent in football is
France, for sure.
clearly shown. That Portugal, but that also has a Brazilian pipeline. So that's exciting from a football perspective, but at the same time, to see the government and the clubs make these decisions to turn these into viable businesses that can learn from the lessons of other SADs or similar programs in the past, and to be invited in to be a part of that, to a blank
Totally.
slate.
And let me tell you something. Brazil's market for football is as hungry as it's ever been. There are teams in the league right now that are starting to become the Bayern, the Manchester Cities of the league, right? We got Palmeiras, we got Atlético Mineiro, we have Flamengo, which we freaking despise. But these teams are starting to become like Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund in the German league, where they just get so far ahead of everybody. And they are starting to monopolize TV ads and playing time on TV. And it's a business. So what he's seeing here is a business opportunity, Because if he comes in and he gets a club like Botafogo, which is a legendary club, the 12th biggest club of the 20th century by FIFA. Guys, Crystal Palace fans, if you, I mean completely no disrespect whatsoever, but you have to understand the business aspect of this. If you're taking a club like Botafogo, a worldwide an institution that is known worldwide, right? There's places in Russia, there's places in the Netherlands that are named after the club. I mean, the club was so big during the 50s and the 60s. They used to do these trips overseas and used to play in these other countries that they just became enamored with the club and started naming places after the club, and they still name of places to this day. So John Textor has got to be one of the smartest entrepreneurs in football today, for the fact that he's coming in and investing this money in the club. Because to him, making money is easy, right? Making money, he's learned from his mistakes. Making money is going to be easy. Making money in Brazil, football, especially when you have a winning side, he's got to make his money back and then some.
It's irresistible. I told my family, I said, we have to do this. We have to be there at the beginning.
Yep.
And that's a special opportunity.
And that goes along with everything else. Being at the beginning is so important, man. How did this interest in Botafogo come about? Like, how did he become interested in Botafogo is basically what the question's asking here.
Well, I think if people pay attention, they'll know that I was looking at smaller clubs. I mean, nobody just wakes up and says, I'm going to go buy Botafogo, right? And number one,
that's true.
No individual should ever feel like they bought such a club.
Yeah.
These are people's clubs.
Yeah.
These are community clubs.
Community clubs, for sure.
The opportunity to own a club is really the opportunity to be its caretaker, right? The club existed long before I was alive. Yep. The club will exist long after.
Yep.
So as far as what I just woke up and said, okay, I want to go to Brazil. It's going to be incredible.
That's right.
Be here at the beginning of this. I'll be honest. I was looking at clubs in the first division that were already there. Maybe they had some level of stability because they were already there. But I was looking at smaller markets, smaller opportunities. You know, it's a big deal to just wake up and say, I'm going to go buy Newcastle United, right? Or Botafogo, or Benfica. These are the great, great legendary clubs where, and maybe they've fallen off that top level.
Yeah.
That's an even tougher situation because the fans have a memory, they have a nostalgia, they have a belief in their heart that they deserve to see their team at these levels.
It's true.
And to take on that challenge, you have to be ready for it. You don't just wake up and say, I'm going to go buy Botafogo. But anyway, so how did Botafogo happen? You know, I was close to making a decision on another club, and these two young men that worked for me kept bringing up Botafogo. And I'm going, come on, right? So they kept bringing it up, and they said, John, let me show you why bigger is better. Let me show you why the challenges will be more fulfilling to you. Let me show you why the opportunity
These two young men are saints.
I think this opportunity does match me as a person. And then it started to seem like possible. And then when it gets possible, like every person, you get closer and closer to a dream situation. You just have to have it, right? So this is why I'm here. But no, I cannot tell the fans here that, you know, that I live and breathe the black and white, or that the Lone Star is under my pillow at home, because Botafogo was one of those clubs that you just can't possibly imagine you can be involved in. So I'm very honored that everything lined up, and the dream of such a club is, you know, possible for me, and I think it's probably right for me. I think I am up to this challenge.
You're goddamn
It's a
right.
bit of a joke that I would look at a smaller club, because everything I've ever done, I was put on this earth to change the world.
There you go,
And,
John.
so you can only change the world if you touch a lot of people. And through Botafogo, we can touch many, many people.
Now let me say this: fans of other clubs, right? They try to be smartasses and do screen captures and screenshots saying that, you know, I was looking at smaller clubs, like he was talking about Botafogo, and there is nothing but jealousies. You bums, especially the Fluminense fans. You guys are the smallest club in Rio. What are you talking about? Little people. Can't say midgets anymore because that's frowned upon. But you are Fluminense fans and Flamengo fans. You guys are the freaking absolute worst. What is the next steps in this negotiation until the whole process is concluded?
Well, really, I've done
Due diligence.
sort of what I can do, so that management, so that George can take this, you know, to the president, to take this to the club. I believe that they've done a very good job.
Yes, they have.
Of
Very great job, man. Such a good job.
holding me accountable to their expectations. And I was fine with many of these requests because these are my expectations. You cannot build this club back to and beyond its past glory without a significant investment.
That's correct.
And if you look at the document, which I know all the fans will ultimately see at some point, you know, everything the fans want, I think, is structured into the agreement. I certainly hope they feel that.
We want a competitive team, man.
There was great alignment of those interests. Now the club needs to vote.
Which we will, and it will pass.
Structured it so that we can get money into the club quickly, because while there may be a process with the SAF, things that we have to do in terms of the legal process, the window does not wait for anyone. The player window is now. The state championship is
It's
starting
open,
now.
yeah.
The season is starting like tomorrow. And so we've structured it so that money can get into the club quickly, so that decisions can be made on players, so that the transformation of a second division team to a first division team, and a strong first division team, that has to happen now.
Yes.
That cannot wait for.
Thank you, baby Jesus.
So, you know. we'll
Yes,
see
yes,
now in the
yes,
hands of
yes, yes.
the people at the club.
They will pass it, John. Trust. First impressions. What? Talk about the responsibility that is to represent such a passionate fan base. Is what this question is.
Well, let's be clear what that was, right? That's hope. I've
True.
won nothing.
Yeah.
We together have won nothing. What I saw that day was hope. It was very surprising. I heard a little bit on social media that people might be meeting me at the airport, but you see very strange stuff on social media. And
You have no
unwise
idea,
to believe
man.
anything on
You have
social
no
media.
idea.
So when I landed in Sao Paulo earlier in the day, I was
Oh
a
man.
bit afraid. I'm not. I've been very much behind the scenes at Crystal Palace. I've been enjoying being behind the scenes and less visible in some of my business success. And that goes back to some of, you know, my prior success back pre-2010. I mean, it's very popular and very public, and that's fleeting, right? Publicity and fame, even at a small level, it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So I was not looking forward to seeing a bunch of people waiting for me after a 10-hour flight when I looked horrible and hadn't slept.
Those flights are so excruciating, man. The flights from the United States to Brazil are just, they can't be the worst. I'm flying out of Texas and I gotta go over the Gulf of Mexico. Oh my God, turbulence galore. Doesn't really stop until you're like almost in Brazil. It's awful. I've flown out of Florida before, which is, I think he's coming from Florida. And it was a much more enjoyable flight, but he said 10 hours. So perhaps he wasn't in Florida. Perhaps he was somewhere else. But yeah, no, those flights suck.
And I landed in Sao Paulo and I was looking around corners and I was like, oh, thank goodness, nobody's here. So I spent a little time in the airport, and I was completely off my guard. I get on this little flight up to Rio. Of course, nobody's going to be there. It was a lie. Social media said they'd see me in Sao Paulo.
We're not in Sao Paulo,
So
bud.
I came around the corner. I had my head down, was tired, and then I looked up and I see people pressing up against the glass and then pointing at me, and I honestly thought that I've been reading about the Ronaldo a lot lately. I thought maybe Ronaldo's on this flight, so, but it was amazing. It was. I honestly did not expect
Welcome to
it.
the family.
I don't deserve it.
Because that's what we are.
Everybody should know we have a lot of work to do. But I accept their excitement as a manifestation of
Yeah,
their
we're
hopes
ready.
and their dreams
We're ready.
and ambitions and
Ready for a
their
change.
sense of history. Because I read everybody's comments on social media. I can't answer everything, but it does give you.
You've liked one of my comments, John Textor.
And I think they know the process. They know this moment in time. This is a
This is
historical
huge, man.
event that this
Oh my
country is
God.
going through.
So huge. It's going to change
And
the
I
landscape
think the reaction reflected all
of
that
Brazilian football.
hope and ambition. And if I was the focal point of it for a day, one of the most special days in my life, short of course, we're recording, so honey, our marriage, our kids.
Yes, you
course,
have to.
One, two.
You have to address,
but
okay?
Botafogo, probably three.
You have to address that.
So,
Current moment.
it doesn't happen in most places in the world.
Get out of here.
You know, and I'm also learning about football in England because I've watched it on TV for so long. At Crystal Palace, we've certainly had many moments like that.
Mhm.
Crystal Palace has also been through a difficult journey.
Yep.
This is a shameless plug for the documentary called When Eagles Dare.
I need to watch that.
available
I'm going to
at
watch
Crystal
that. I want to
Palace.
watch that.
Crystal Palace was a club that had fallen on difficult times financially, and a bank, a very famous international bank, just clinically said, we're going to shut down the
Oh,
club.
damn.
And the fans, but I can see the brotherhood of Botafogo fans and Crystal Palace fans
Yeah.
forming over common experience, because the fans literally attacked the
We've
bank.
been there.
And there was blue and red smoke, and they demanded a meeting. They demanded an audience with the bank, and they demanded that their club not be shut down.
Hell yeah.
And for
That's a nightmare.
fans who were also
It's a
businessmen,
nightmare.
for a very small amount of money, it was, I'm sure, a lot to them, paid off the bank, took over the
Wow.
nearly were getting relegated
Wow.
to the second division, managed to avoid that in the same season, get promoted to the Premier League.
Holy
And,
crap.
that was the story, as we see here in Botafogo, about how
Yes.
community matters, about how the fans really can make a difference.
Wow.
And what you'll see at Crystal
Kudos to
Palace
you.
is now that it's matured,
Wow.
the businessmen that own it, that experience of relegation and near, liquidation has changed the way that club operates. The businessmen,
Yeah.
including myself as a major shareholder, know all of that history, feel responsibility to that history, and so they take it forward very differently at Crystal Palace than
Yeah.
you see at, Arsenal or Tottenham or places that haven't seen that struggle. So Botafogo, I hope.
So they
obviously
suck
no
just to
club
suck?
should ever see the kind of struggle that Crystal Palace had to go through to come back. But being such a great champion, the glorious, and being relegated, and the fear
Yep.
and anxiety that creates. The championship.
We have
last year,
PTSD
now
from
the
that stuff,
promotion,
man.
This
Just-
explains why there's a brotherhood between the fans
Definitely.
of Botafogo and the fans of Crystal
100%.
Palace. Common experience, creates great relationships.
Yep. It's sort of like when this isn't the enemy of the enemy is my friend, but except here, we're not enemies whatsoever. It's just a common, like he said, a common Botafogo and Palace fans have been in a common situation that fans of each club really could swap spots, and it's like you were in the exact same place. So yeah, this is great. They're much more alike than I previously thought. What are you thinking about the interaction between Botafogo and Crystal Palace fans, supporters?
Well, organic. That was not planned. There was, I was just meeting the people at Botafogo. I was communicating with my partners at Crystal Palace, but we're all independent men, Crystal Palace, and they were aware that I had interest in Brazil, but this was not a coordinated reaction. This was very organic. The people here were obviously very curious about who I might be, and I think the idea of collaboration with another top-level club, was exciting. And
yeah, definitely.
I mean, it's amazing. I remember for days looking at the social media and seeing the fans that were already doing customized logos, combining the eagle with the Lone Star, and, painting the Lone Star in different colors, and imagining friendly games together.
Put that on the Twitter earlier.
All of it organic and very special. I particularly like the fans of each club providing an education to the others.
That's what this is all about, providing education for Crystal Palace fans and other people that might be involved with John Textor in one way or another, to find out more about why he's doing this, about who we are. Because our most recent history has not been great, and it's something that some fans might look towards the ground when you start talking about that, and it's shame, and we're just tired of that. We're done with that, and yeah, we're ready for this, and this is the whole purpose of this channel. It's for you guys that want to know more, and it's for the supporters of Botafogo that want to see it in a different view, because I am Brazilian. Eu sou brasileiro, galera. Eu sou brasileiro. So it's just the fact that I've been in the United States for so long. My English is really good. I've built my whole entire life here, but I've never forgot about my roots. I watch the team religiously. I've been following ever since. I followed long before. From the moment I was born, there's a picture of me. I'm like a year and a half, and I already have the jersey on. So this is the longest relationship I've ever been in, and it's gonna be a lifelong relationship. We are Botafogo and me, just like with all of the other supporters. We are lifelong partners, and that's not gonna change. Never. And I'm sure Palace fans feel the exact same way about Crystal Palace, just like fans of any other club. We have a rich history. We have a lot of weight in international and national football. We want to bring that back.
This is our history. These are our great players. These are our rivals. And then
Exactly
the
what I
funniest
just
part of the story is when Botafogo fans started crashing the social media accounts of Brighton, which is our big rival at Crystal Palace in England.
Yes.
And
we love that,
many
man.
things that I cannot repeat on camera.
We love talking
But
trash.
I did not mind seeing the Brighton fans have to deal with the sharp-witted comedy of the Botafogo fans.
Crystal Palace fans, let me tell you something right now. If Brighton is your enemy, they are our enemy, and that is it. There's no, but they, no, there's none of that. It's the end. We will We will join you in battle. If Crystal Palace is playing Brighton, I will cheer for that Crystal Palace goal, just like Botafogo is scoring on Flamengo, on Fluminense, and on Vasco. There is nothing in this world that I want more is to watch the upcoming match of Crystal Palace and Brighton, because I am going to be cheering my butt off for Crystal Palace. That's for sure. Financial health and investment in football. Let's see what Texter has to say about that.
Yeah, of course. I referred earlier to some of the expectations of the club, of any new owner, and certainly of me. And so let's talk about
Please.
that. What does a club
Let's talk about that.
when it makes that transition?
Money. We need money, John. We need players.
It needs a lot.
We
Right?
need
And,
structure.
I can get excited about the opportunity to invest in a global footprint of talent identification. I can
One
get
of the ways
excited
he'll make his money
about,
back.
Building, investing in the academy.
Another way he's going to make his money
At
back.
Crystal Palace in particular, our chairman made a commitment prior to my arrival to fund the academy, and
Good.
this past week
Good.
we saw players from our
Good.
academy on the field winning games.
Yes.
In the Premier League. So, all that is very important, and I do want
That
to
is
talk about
so
that in a minute.
important, man. That is the
But
whole
we have
livelihood of a
this
club.
Inflection point from second division to first division. As I said, the transfer window waits for no one.
I don't know how it is in England. I really haven't researched to pay much attention to in regards to that when a team comes from the second division to the first division, from the Premiership to the Premier League. But in Brazil, the difference is abysmal. I mean, clubs that come up from the second division to the first division in Brazilian football, they struggle, man. They struggle so hard, and they usually end up being relegated again. And in Brazil, it's 4 teams every year. 4 teams get relegated, 4 teams come up. If it was only 2, then Botafogo would have been safe because we were the champions. But it's very, very tough. And right now we see in the second division of Brazilian football two big teams, 2 giant teams that were in the second division last year that did not go up. They did not go up, which is Vasco, which is one of Botafogo's main rivals. So, hey, o Bota vai subir, o Vasco não, right? It's a little song that we sing. Is like, hey, Botafogo is getting promoted, but Vasco isn't. And Cruzeiro, which is going through such a hard financial times, and they were relegated in the season before. So not only did they stay in the second division the year following where they got relegated, they stayed in another year. So they're gonna go for the 3rd second division in a row. And this is a team that has won the Libertadores Cup. They have won major titles. This is a huge team, guys. So if you don't know Cruzeiro, this is big team. Important team. Not as important as Botafogo. Again, nobody is in Brazilian football. Maybe Santos and Vasco, perhaps. But, yeah, they're not. Cruzeiro's not bigger than Botafogo in terms of history. But yeah, they're going again. And then this upcoming season, there's going to be 5 teams in there. 5. And this previous one was 4. 5 teams that were national champions in the A division. One of them being Grêmio, which is, again, another huge team. So this B division is going to be so tough, man. And Ronaldo, R9 Ronaldo, he bought Cruzeiro. So see how that goes.
Season waits for no one. You have to be ready. You have to be ready quickly. You have to have momentum. Now, you carry that momentum because you just won. You won something very important. You were down at the second level, but you weren't down there with a bunch of second-level teams. You're down there with Cruzeiro and Vasco.
What I just said.
Honestly, I'm learning a lot about what happened in Brazil football that is even possible with such great teams.
It's insane.
So
It really is insane. It's really, really weird.
The mentality of winning is there, but we also know that momentum, has to be rationalized. There are players from that team that will play their way right into the first division. They will rise to the occasion, and they will be.
There are some players that we're trying to keep right now, just like that.
I'm sure, and I'm not thinking about anybody specifically, that were very important to that championship campaign that may not sort of, reach.
That happens too.
To be leaders in the first division. So.
I'm so glad he understands this, man.
There's only so much.
So glad he understands this.
The team that won last year really can do in terms of carrying that momentum into the first division without new resources.
It's impossible. We were going to be relegated again.
Without a global view of talent, without new players. And so, certainly in the deal with the club very intelligently structured, there's a requirement for me to make a significant increase
yes.
in the payroll.
Yes, Mr. Textor, there is.
Fans will want to see changes quickly. They'll want to see additions quickly. I hope.
Because we've been in the mud for so long, man. We've been in the mud for so long. We need change now. Now.
I've got partners at Crystal Palace that also own other clubs. A big club in the United States, my partner David just bought. Big top-tier club in Germany he already owns. And so it's not just this brotherhood with Crystal Palace that we all have fun and enjoy.
Okay. All right.
But it's a network of relationships.
I wonder which team that is.
So that we're not just.
I wonder if the MLS team is the Real Salt Lake team. Interesting. And I think that, isn't the German team, is the Augsburg team? That could be it too. I think that's one of the teams that I was, that I left out. It might have been Augsburg.
Finding the most expensive player we can find in Brazil that everybody recognizes, but that we're bringing a player that nobody recognizes that has a true impact. There was an amazing young man at Crystal Palace that started yesterday's game against
Is it Ollie?
And prior to that game, in his Premier League games, as one of the youngest players in the league, he had the highest involvement.
Ollie.
Contribution.
Yeah.
The amount of goals or assists
Olise.
in which he was involved, responsible for, and the amount of minutes he played. And so we knew coming in he was special. And yesterday he showed the whole world. And I was very happy to see that game on Brazil.
That's exactly who he's talking about.
That's the type of player that if you're just about, getting the big name and spending the money, then that player, Michael, doesn't show up on your roster. So you have to have a global footprint of talent.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to think about
gotta be a mix.
Veterans that you would like to return home from Europe to Brazil.
Marcelo.
We're going to chase some of them.
Rafael Carioca.
If they can play. If they can't play anymore, I'm still going to chase them, and hopefully they'll just become part of the family again. But and then you have to have a balance of the people that we know perform very well at
young players.
Level. We have to identify the people from last year's team that will step up to that level. And we have to build this greatness through youth, not just youth in Brazil, but youth globally. Now, the key to our multi-club kind of
philosophy
is that there are immigration constraints all over the world. And what we've put together in our family of friendships and family of clubs are countries that provide incredible mobility for the talent in one country to play in another. The United States might be one of the greatest untapped sources of talent, and they have such a poorly developed
country.
System there.
The United States is such a huge country that I'm literally baffled by the fact that they're not a top team in the world for football, because they're playing the fake football over here, and they should really be called handball or punt ball. And there's so many people, man. There's so many talented, there's so many top tier level athletes here that play all over the MLS, NHL, MLB, you name it, NBA. And just imagine if you took a top, level athlete for one of those leagues, or NFL has more players, like from the NFL and you really concentrated on soccer, on football, the United States would be such a powerhouse that I think that they're going to head that way. I think here maybe in about 25 years, 30 years, I think the United States will be world title contenders. But there needs to be more focus on the sport. So, yeah.
But that talent doesn't get out of the United States. And so I'm very interested in testing the level of those players to see if they can really perform here. And the same with our players in the UK. Maybe the best league in the world, right? The Premier League.
Agreed.
Are they the best players? Well, chances are immigration has a lot to do with limiting the competition they've had. So, I mean, those players, I'd love to see them tested here in Brazil.
Ooh,
A lot
okay.
to do, and I've touched on a lot of points. To get back to your question, the contract requires an immediate reaction on capital. The management and the sporting group here has to make an immediate assessment of who in last year's team is going to be able to step up to the next level. Everybody has a chance.
Yeah.
We're going to bring in players. We're going to test their level against this team, and we're going to test this team against those players. And, you know, we're here to win. I hope it comes immediately.
That's what everybody wants to hear, John.
Fans' expectations. We're going to work every day to try and get
That's what we want to hear.
the Glorious back to its proper place in history.
Yes. Oh, my God. Transformation of clubs into the SAFs.
I think it's an expected and understandable fear, but it's a fear that doesn't have a great deal of historical foundation in this example. No one club should ever be a feeder to
Yes. Oh my God. Thank
you.
you.
Know, I'm fortunate to have in the relationships that I have is a combination of top tier clubs.
Thank you.
In their own parts of the world.
That was something that we were worried about.
Bases, and neither the fans, nor the players, nor the coaches would ever accept that Botafogo, that they're here to feed.
Hell no.
Or that Palace is there to feed somebody else.
Exactly.
I think that it's important to understand, you know, that talent, Brazil is an incredible place for talent, but if you look at the roster of Botafogo and you see maybe one, maybe two players from outside of Brazil, I think that's a missed opportunity. And so I think a multi-club collaboration where...
John Textor, you fell out of the football heaven and you landed straight into Botafogo. I can't believe how lucky we are to have somebody with such vision that is so different from the freaking amateurs that were destroying this club. The people that are holding on to that dog bone and did not want to let go. But guess what? Mother effers, your time has come. You are done.
Owners, either friends or in my case, I have an interest in multiple clubs, understand what the needs are in one region and what the needs are on a roster. And you may have a big academy at one club. Certainly Crystal Palace has got an incredible catchment area in South London. It's not possible for Crystal Palace to satisfy that developing talent with just one roster. So the knowledge that the people at Palace have about players in their system,
yes,
the recruiting that they have,
send them over.
The data, you know, scouting is very underdeveloped in my opinion in Brazil.
Very.
Data is very undeveloped in my opinion in
Very.
Brazil. Other parts of the world,
completely.
The talent of school-age children might be the same, but the development and the discipline and the drilling of those players into
100%
successful performance, you know, is different in different parts of the world, so we can learn from that. But certainly, you know, even if we just are taking advantage of our relationships in different parts of the world, where I'm able to call the sporting director of another club and say, do you have data on this player? I can tell you, the way data works, and you have scouts everywhere, every game is watched. The data, performance of the player, physical, technical, creative, it's all tracked. And I find that very undeveloped.
Oh, God, this is making me so happy, man.
I think if anything, and I said this about a similar situation to a club in Portugal. You have to open up, and you have to reach out, and you have to be global, and you have to be open-minded, and you have to understand that the Botafogo fans, yes, they love their Brazilian players winning championships in Brazil, and they love seeing
We want to see good players here, regardless where they're from. We want to win.
More than all of that, right? And so I don't think they'll mind if, 10% or 20% of the roster over the time becomes very international.
No.
So no one club should ever be positioned to be a feeder of another. They have to get as much as they give. I think that player sales are a normal part of business, but if you do it right, you should be able to expose your players to opportunities and to a global scouting footprint.
Selling of players is probably the number one thing that makes Botafogo fans incredibly pissed off the club, because we sell our players for dirt cheap, and we're talking about players that are good players. We're talking about other clubs selling players that are worse for 4, 5, 6 times more money than we are selling, because we're in a bad financial situation that any money is good money. It seems like that time is over.
So that when you do sell a player's rights, you get as much as you possibly can for it, because that player is marketable, so you can sell fewer players. So you want to retain as much talent. You want to open yourself up to the globe of talent, and these relationships have to be two-way. I truly believe, looking at the roster today, I think people will want to play in Brazil. I think they'll want to be in Rio, some of the most beautiful cities
Why
in the
not?
world. I think that we're going to have to bring those players
Yes.
here so that they can see it firsthand. It looks
Yes.
much better in person than it does on the postcard. And they can feel what it's like here. And I think there's going to be a lot more inflow to this roster than outflow if we do our job.
Please. Oh, video react. Nice. I want to see this.
It's wonderful.
Woo!
This image,
Man, this is
the
so
car
beautiful.
rising out of the crowd, the dog,
Look at that.
the jersey rising out of the crowd. I haven't seen anything like this. Unbelievable.
Look at that, man.
Those are players.
The players with the squad.
Wow.
Yeah. We're a crazy bunch, man. Look at the little boy right there. It's a birthright to be a Botafogo fan. Look at John Textor, man. He's overwhelmed.
Oh yeah? Let's take my shirt off.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Where is this the stadium? The big national stadium?
That's our home, buddy.
Tommy. Yeah. Can you send
Wow.
this? You have to send this to me.
Look at that, man. Yeah, it's really refreshing watching John Textor act like a little boy, looking at the club and looking at the fans and the reaction and the power behind the Botafogo fans. It was literally refreshing. I'm honestly a little overwhelmed. I'm honestly a little, I don't really have the words to explain. I'm a little emotional, to be honest, because we've been in the mud for so long. It's time to get out of this horrible place that we've been in. It's time to go back to a rightful place, which, not to be biased, but if I'm really trying to be honest, our rightful place is at the top. Our rightful place. We should not enter a tournament to be knocked out in the first round, or the second round, or the third round, or the fourth round. Botafogo is a club that needs to go into every single competition with the intent of winning. And if we are getting knocked out, if we're not winning, we're getting either, losing the final or the semifinals. And that is the lowest level that Botafogo should be. The lowest. With the highest is obviously winning the titles. And bringing a new wave of fans. For a long time, Botafogo just couldn't capitalize on young fans because we just weren't winning anything. You were just being made fun of for so long. And the press would just throw all sorts of shady stuff during before games and after matches, and we create tension, and that is over. I hope to God that this is over. I hope that this is really the beginning of a brand new era for the club. If you're still watching, please drop the subscribe, click on that like button, because we need to grow this channel, because the exponential growth of the club is about to just erupt like a volcano. And I hope you Crystal Palace fans enjoy this type of content. If you are a Crystal Palace fan, let me know in the comment down below. But this is the dawn of a new era for the club, and we hope to never, ever, ever again be in the second division, for the love of God. Once again, if you enjoyed this content, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this video with your friends, everybody else out there that might have heard of Botafogo, especially if you're a brand new supporter of the club. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Fui!